On June 15, 1389, the two forces faced each other on the plains northwest of Pristina, setting the stage for one of the most crucial battles in medieval Balkan history. In June 1389, Prince Lazar Hrebeljanović, determined to repel the Ottoman advance into Europe, rallied his forces in the Serbian capital of Kosovo. His army was composed primarily of contingents from his own domain and that of his son-in-law, Branković, along with smaller, crucial reinforcements from allied regions like Bosnia, Wallachia, Albania, Hungary, and even a handful of Hospitaller knights. This coalition aimed to challenge the Ottoman forces under Sultan Murad I, who was advancing deeper into the Balkans with the goal of consolidating Ottoman dominance. As the two armies prepared for confrontation, Lazar knew that the fate of Serbia and much of the Balkans hinged on this battle. His goal was not just to halt the Ottomans, but potentially to drive them out of Europe entirely. And on June 15, 1389, the opposing forces stood facing each other on the field of Kosovo. Sultan Murad, aware of the strength of Lazar's cavalry, chose a defensive stance for the battle. His forces were carefully arranged, with the initial front line composed of approximately 1,000 archers. These archers were placed in fortified positions, tasked with weakening the approaching Serbian forces as they advanced. Behind this line of archers, the bulk of the Ottoman infantry was stationed. This consisted mainly of azabs, irregular soldiers from Anatolia armed with a variety of weapons, such as axes, maces, and pole arms. Murad positioned his cavalry behind the infantry, with light cavalry akinci and heavy sipahi units ready to strike once the Serbian forces were weakened. His personal elite guard, the Janissaries, accompanied him at the center, standing as a formidable last line of defense. These elite infantry troops were supported by the Sipahi cavalry, tasked with protecting the Sultan himself. The left and right wings of the Ottoman army were commanded by Murad's sons, Yakub Çelebi on the left and Bayezid on the right, while Murad and his trusted Grand Vizier, Kandarlizade Ali Pasha, coordinated the central command. Lazar's forces, though slightly outnumbered, estimated at around 30,000, compared to the Ottomans' 40,000, had the advantage of being well-armored and experienced, especially in cavalry warfare. The Serbian army's front line was dominated by mounted knights, who were crucial to the initial charge. These heavily armored knights, supported by lighter cavalry, were positioned to deliver a powerful blow early in the battle. Behind the cavalry, contingents of infantry drawn from various regions of Lazar's coalition forces were arranged in support roles. The Serbian center was commanded by Lazar himself, with Vlatko Vuković, the Bosnian Grand Duke, leading the left wing, and Branković commanding the right. The key strength of Lazar's army lay in its cavalry, with the heavy horsemen expected to shatter Ottoman lines and disrupt Murad's formations. The battle began with Ottoman artillery firing upon the Serbian lines, though the shots fell short, signaling the start of the engagement. Murad then unleashed his archers, who showered arrows on the Serbian knights. This was intended to provoke the Serbians into launching a disorganized charge, but Lazar held his line until he gave the signal for a full cavalry assault. The thunderous charge of heavily armored Serbian knights bore down on the Ottoman infantry with overwhelming force. The initial Serbian onslaught caused significant disruption in the Ottoman ranks, particularly on the left wing, where Branković's cavalry managed to break through and push back Yakub's forces. The Ottoman infantry struggled to withstand the force of the Serbian charge, and in several places, the Ottoman line began to buckle under pressure. Despite the Serbian success in the early stages, The Ottoman defensive formation held firm at key points. The Azab infantry absorbed the brunt of the cavalry assault, slowing the momentum of Lazar's forces. As the Serbian cavalry began to lose momentum, Sultan Murad ordered a general counterattack. Bayezid's cavalry, which had remained largely unengaged in the initial phase, launched a devastating counteroffensive against the Serbian left, led by Vlatko Vuković. Bayezid's swift and brutal charge began to turn the tide of the battle as the Ottoman left wing, commanded by Yakub, stabilized with reinforcements. The situation grew dire for the Serbians. Branković's breakthrough on the right was not enough to secure a decisive victory, and Lazar's forces in the center soon found themselves exposed on both flanks. Bayezid's relentless cavalry assault overwhelmed the Serbian left, while the center, now vulnerable, began to falter. Branković, seeing the battle lost, initiated an organized retreat, leaving Lazar's center isolated. The final phase of the battle saw the collapse of the Serbian army. Prince Lazar, either caught in the chaotic retreat or trapped by Ottoman forces, was captured and executed. According to some sources, Sultan Murad also met his end during the battle, killed by a Serbian warrior, possibly the legendary Miloš Obilić, who infiltrated the Ottoman ranks. Although both sides suffered devastating losses, the Ottomans emerged in control of the battlefield. Bayezid quickly seized power, consolidating his position as the new sultan following his father's death. The defeat at Kosovo marked a turning point for the Serbian resistance against the Ottomans, paving the way for the empire's expansion deeper into the Balkans.